How do we pursue all our dreams with only 24 hours in a day?
How do we learn to love ourselves despite all of our flaws?
How do we strive to be better when perfection can't really be attained?
Hello, madams!
It's your internet Atis again, answering your questions and figuring out our own answers as we go along.
I am Rizza LANA-SEBASTIan.
I am Ayn Bernos.
And you're listening to the Bootcamp for Grown-Ups in Progress,
Camp Confidence.
Everybody, and welcome back to the Bootcamp for Grown-Ups in Progress, Camp Confidence!
Hello mga madam, welcome back to another episode of Camp Confidence. And jumping off from our last episode, happiness. We talked about happiness. Ngayon naman, we're gonna be talking about maybe ang kalaban ng happiness, which is settling for less.
Oh!
I think so. I think if nagsisettle ka for less, you don't give yourself the opportunity to be the happiest version possible.
Yung optimum level of happiness mo. Nadi-diminish mo.
Oo, totoo. So today, we're gonna be talking about settling for less and how not to do that in 3 areas of our lives. So number 1, pag-usapan natin yung career, how to not settle for less sa career natin. We're also gonna talk about our relationships, obviously, but not just romantic relationships, but with friends, family, and finally, we're gonna be talking about not settling for less with ourselves.
Naku! Oh my
Yes. So, mahaba-habang kwentuhan to. So, sit tight, relax, and listen in mga madam. How do you not settle for less sa career mo? Especially, let's put ourselves in the position of our listeners. Mga Gen Z, mga nagsisimula sa career nila, how do you know what you deserve?
Ako dati talaga, madam, I wasn't very assertive. Admittedly, I wasn't the assertive type. I would just do whatever my boss tells me. Kahit magkano pa yan, kahit mag-OTY ako ng mag-OTY laban. Kasi I was very timid. I was very, alam mo yan, okay, sige po, noted, ganon. But how I wish I was able to voice out my opinions. Kasi I was in the hospitality industry and ang training namin nun was to please other people. Was to, feeling ko dun ko nakuha yung pagka-people pleaser ko. Kasi dapat the guests are happy, customers are always right. And it trickled down into me just saying yes to everything. And ang natutunan ko nun, ngayon na mas may experience na ako, how I wish I said things na I won't be able to do OT right now kasi I have a family gathering. Or I won't be able to do this double shift kasi I needed to go back home because my mom was sick. Mga ganong tipo. And yun siguro yung isa sa mga gusto kong i-impart na lesson sa ating listeners and madamhood right now na it's okay to say no. It's okay to ask questions. It's okay to challenge beliefs. And ngayon, as a business owner, when I receive those kinds of questions na parang, may OT pay po ba to? Or, are we going to get an increase if we take on this new role? Ganon.
Yeah.
Na-appreciate ko siya. It's something that I really appreciate. Although, may mga ibang businessmen na talagang sinasabi nila, asking for a raise. Pero ako, na-appreciate ko siya. Kasi it's something that I wish I did when I was younger.
Yeah. Kasi at the end of the day, you have to be your biggest advocate rin. Kasi like not everyone can see the minute details of the things that you do. And if you think that you deserve something, you need to ask for it sometimes. Even though like ideally, andun na yun. Pero it's not how it is. Sometimes people forget. Sometimes you need to ask for what you deserve. Kung ako naman, I would say oo lang din ako ng oo.
Yeah.
When I was younger and I was starting out, especially, my gosh, I took a lot of unpaid internships. As in, I took so many unpaid internships. Obviously, I don't regret any of them because ang dami ko natutunan and it really helped me build the connections that I have now. However, this is why as an entrepreneur, and if I get interns, I always pay them. Kasi mahirap yung
Mahirap.
mahirap din siya because it took a lot of effort to, number one, report to the office. Because that time, hindi nga kami work from home eh. Imagine, I'm from Quezon City, punta ka Makati.
Oh, no.
Tapos wala ka pang wala ka pang allowance. Tapos magta-travel ka, wala ka ring allowance.
Mahal kaya ng bilihin ngayon.
Yeah. Tsaka even if bata ka, hindi ibig sabihin yung effort mo is worthless.
Correct.
So, ayun. But I'm really proud though of myself because when I realized what I was worth, I guess medyo nung nag-depend sa akin yung mga higher ups. When I realized na, they asked me to do important things. So, ibig sabihin may value yung ginagawa ko. So, my proudest moment in corporate was when I negotiated my work from home situation. Because I was really sick of it. Sabi ko, sorry, I really wanted to resign.
Oo.
Tapos, alam ko naman na I had my other freelance gigs na I could lean on. So, wala naman akong kawalan in that sense. And then, sabi sa akin nung boss ko, what would it take for you to be here tomorrow pa din? Sabi ko, I never want to go back to the office. Slay.
Purr.
You know what happened?
Yeah.
Pinayagan nila ako. I was the very first work from home employee. Kasi naman, I was a copywriter. I
Okay,
was working using my laptop. My own laptop, imagine. Tapos pupunta ako sa office to do what? To type. And not even talk to anyone. So sabi ko,
Okay.
what's the point of being here?
Oo.
Eh, wala naman akong ginagawa. So I was able to negotiate na para ako, yes, okay, I'll keep this job, I'll keep doing this for you, but you need to understand na kailangan ko din kumita. I need to do my other hustle. And I can't do that if I'm traveling 2 hours going to Makati and going back. So, ayun, yun yung first ko na experience na parang stood up for myself. I did not settle for less.
Ako naman, I'll give tips. Kasi in a business point of view, ano ba yung nakikita ng boss or ano ba yung nakikita ng businesswoman if you are trying to request for a salary raise? Ano ba yung tinitignan ko? So ako as a boss, it should make sense na hindi pwedeng masasabihin mo lang na inaabuso na ako dito, kailangan nyo akong bigyan ng pera. Hindi naman pwedeng ganon, di ba? It has to make sense. So, you have to have your negotiation skills and ask nicely. Yun talaga. Number one, ask nicely. You don't have to be parang galit agad na.
Yeah.
Ako, personally, I'm a very chill boss and I've always been open door. Open door policy talaga kami. You can always talk to me whenever. Kahit hindi ka na dumaan sa manager mo, kahit rank and file, pwede dumiretso sa akin. And you can tell me everything. Pero in terms of race nga, balik lang tayo doon. In terms of race, it has to make sense na gusto ko, makikita ko, ito yung mga ginagawa ko. Ako, tip siguro eh. Pwede nyo sabihin sa boss nyo kung ito po yung current na ginagawa ko sa ngayon. And I feel like I can do more if you equip me to do more. Pwede mo rin bigyan ng KPI yung sarili mo na, okay, sige, deal. Bigyan mo ako ng raise kapag na-achieve ko tong number na to. Or if I achieve this kind of sales, can I ask for a raise? Ganon.
Yeah.
Kasi ako din, especially, nakikita mo rin siya, may wisdom ka din kung nakikita mo ba talaga nagtatrabaho tong employee na to. And dapat, kasi it has to be a partnership. It's not just a transactional thing. It has to have anong tawag dito? Dapat may sense yung exchange yung dalawa.
Yeah. And if the numbers can speak for you, that's even better. Kasi one of the things talaga na parang hindi ka mababara if you have the numbers to show.
Right.
So, document also your work. Be able to show na, okay, this is what I've done for you. This is what I've been able to achieve and I believe it's worth this much.
Totoo. Tsaka mas na-appreciate ko yung mga staff na gano'n, na mas assertive, na nagtatanong. Kasi mas dun ko nakikita, nagsha-shine nga talaga siya. Kasi as someone who does so much things in life, hindi ko na kayo nakikita isa-isa. So, if ano ka, parang, hi boss, eto po ako, eto po yung nagawa ko, di ba?
Yeah.
Yun.
There's such a niche or sub TikTok. There's a corporate FYP and they say na parang extroverts get more credit than they deserve because introverts usually don't assert themselves or
I
like
feel
show
like it
up.
too.
Yun nga eh. And I think it's unfair as an extrovert myself. Like ako kasi, when I do something and I bring this kind of value, I make sure na people see it. Kasi, syempre, it's like, you need to live. So you need to be able to say that and show that. Pero at the same time, there's a struggle for people who will work in silence. Unfortunately, sometimes the work will not speak for you because people tend to overlook that. And it's like the difficult, unfortunate truth that sometimes people will overlook your hard work because hindi nabibigyan ng pansin.
There's also such a thing though in corporate na I'm on a mission to do this as well here sa company na may evaluations talaga. So whether you're an extrovert or an introvert or you ask me for a raise or you don't ask me for a raise, dapat may evaluations. So yan talaga
does
ang
that
kailangan
work?
kong gawin.
How does that work?
Hindi ko pa yan nagagawa ngayon dito sa company. Pero yun yung gusto kong gawin moving forward. Na you will be evaluated by your managers, you will be evaluated by your peers, and parang meron siyang scoreboard. Tapos, nakakatuto ka lang din ito eh. So, kapag kunwari, may mga levels. So, kunwari, ito level mo, ito ang raise mo for this year. Ito, next level, ganun ang raise mo for that year. That way, mag-request ka man sa akin o hindi ng raise, makikita kita.
Yeah, that's nice. And I think I wish that's something that we can normalize in organizations. Kasi did you know na in the US military, ganun sila. Very transparent yung ranks nila and yung salary nila per rank, per raise, per everything. Makikita mo siya. You can look it up online. And I think there is just something so good about that kind of transparency because as somebody, especially kung if you're starting out, you know what you can expect. Kasi just ko when I started out, malay ko ba kung magkano dapat? Ang alam ko lang minimum wage. Other than that, I didn't have a ceiling in mind. Like,
Right.
I didn't know if somebody was earning 6 digits or like 2 times, 5 times more than me. Tapos nalaman ko yun later on na as in a few years after I quit my job. Like, there was one person who was only one role ahead of me. And it wasn't like our scope of work was not that different. He earned 5 times as much. And it was because he asked for it. I didn't. I didn't know how to ask for it. Tapos akala ko yung negotiation ko na,
Work
wala
from
akong
home.
raise, work from home. Proud na ako
Masaya,
nun.
oo.
Masaya na
Assertive
ako nun.
na tayo dyan. Oo.
Assertive na ako sa lagay na yun. Pero, narealize ko, what? Afford nyo pala mag-hire ng somebody 5 times my salary? Tapos, I was getting what? Tapos, ayun, I realized na, maybe that's not my strength pala.
Realm.
But, I would say, now that I am a content creator and I am a business owner as well, my biggest and my best move, I would say, was to delegate the art of negotiation to Yish, our manager. Yeah, kasi...
I love you, Yish.
Yeah, Yish, thank you so much. Wala siya dito ngayon, but super nagbago talaga how I was able to put value on my work. Kasi
Same.
before, I would just do everything for free. X deal to the point na binibigay ko so much more than the value of the product I was getting. And for example, like I didn't even want the product in the first place. But because I was like, oh, this is good for my portfolio. But up to what point is it gonna be for your portfolio? And at what point do you start earning what you deserve? So ayun, those were the kind of things na I'm really grateful for na even though personally that is a weakness of mine, negotiating for what I deserve, I'm really grateful to have met people who know that and can really justify that, can negotiate that. So ayun, nakakatuwa siya. So ayun, life-changing.
Ako naman, madam, natutunan ko ang art of negotiation, especially in business, with Josh.
Yeah.
Josh kasi is very assertive. He knows what he wants. He knows what he doesn't want. And ang mindset niya kasi lagi is, kailangan natin ng isa't isa. Kumbaga, in business deals, kailangan mo ko, kailangan din kita. So, what can we what amount can we talk about today? Ganon. So,
Fascinating. Yun yung linyahan niya.
hindi naman. Hindi naman ganun ka-assertive, ano. Pero doon ko natutunan sa kanya yung mga ganong skills. Na kailangan nyo ang isa't isa in business.
That, I really still need to learn that. That's something that is a work in progress for me, learning the art of negotiation for myself outside of Yish. Kasi napaka-dependent
Ay,
ko kay
oo,
Yish.
mahirap. Mahirap talaga. Kasi with products, kaya mong cost of goods plus utilities, yan ang presyo mo. Pero with service kasi, mahirap eh.
Yeah.
With content creation, o paano mo naman...
How do you put a price on
Diba?
yourself? Pero at least, I just know not to give things for free. Sabi nga nila, if you're good at something, don't do it for free.
Mhm.
Yeah. But at the same time, you give that energy back to the people who do good work.
Yep.
Now, that being
yep.
said, let's talk about not settling for less in relationships. What's your definition of an awful relationship na is less?
Ako, I've been in relationships kasi na parang ako yung gusto nila, kinokontrol nila ako.
Ew.
Tapos parang ako kasi, sobrang, di ba nga, sobrang timid ko, sobrang, mahinhin, tahimik, ganon, na parang, sige po, okay, noted, ganon. And it trickled down into relationships, madam. I wasn't that assertive when I was young. And
But the
I felt
friendships?
like, ano naman to, mga relationship na,
Okay. Jowa, ganun.
yes, jowa relationship. Ano siya, kasi I never saw myself as beautiful, as the, alam mo yun. I had very low self-esteem. So parang kung sino yung unang pumansin sa akin, okay, sige, noted, why
Go.
not? Go na tayo. Tapos, ayun, very low talaga yung confidence ko that time. But when I met Josh, na parang, oh my gosh, pwede pala akong mag-feeling prinsesa. Parang, wow, ang ganda ko pala. Ganon. Parang, siya kasi yung pinaka-laging nag-remind sa akin na, ang ganda ko, ganyan. Tapos parang, feel ko naman, kahit hindi na talaga masyado. I mean, parang doon talaga nag-elevate yung confidence ko talaga. Kasi, I was in relationships na kinocompare ko sa ibang babae, madam.
Ew.
Na parang,
red flag.
I can hear you right now, na parang titingin on Instagram, na parang, ay, ang ganda ng, alam mo yun, parang okay lang naman yun. Pero, yung sasabihin mo sa akin na, mas maputi siya sa'yo. Parang pwede kapag mas maputi ka or kapag mas payat ka. Tapos parang ako, talaga, okay. Parang,
Tanggap ka
hindi
naman.
talaga ako as in, zero assertiveness talaga way back. Until I na feel ko na hindi, kaya ko din to. Babangon ako at dudurugin kita. Mga ganon, eme. Pero, inspired by Mary and Simon yun. Nung na-realize ko na, shocks, I'm also my own self. I shouldn't be, hindi dapat nakadepende yung confidence ko sa iba. Ganon. Parang, kaya ko pala to. Kaya ko rin palang maging confident.
Yeah.
Parang doon.
I think that to me illustrates the importance of finding your confidence and your self-esteem before you get into a partnership. Kasi sinuwerte ka, madam, kay Josh. Kasi he's the kind of guy who uplifted you. But what if you met a wrong one again? So, imagine that, diba? So, I think that's why it's so important na before you get into any kind of relationship, especially one that requires so much of your time and commitment, kailangan mabuo mo talaga yung self-esteem mo. Otherwise, you're just gonna let these things go. As in, you're just gonna let it happen. And for me naman, it wasn't so with romantic relationships, but with friendships.
Oh.
I had friendships that were very transactional. Na, oh my gosh,
I
yun
hate
talaga yung
those.
pinaka-ayoko na relationship. Yung may kailangan lang sa'yo. That is the worst for me. Which is why, I'm very picky with friends
Same.
because I can sense it. Like through the years, I know when somebody is just approaching me because they need my help or they need something from me. And yun talaga yung hindi ko gusto. As
Ako,
in,
very mapagbigay pa naman ako. As in, all out.
kaya nga eh, alam mo, dapat di ka nagpapautang.
Throwing shade right there. Ayan, ganun.
Nabayaran ka na ba?
Diba? Pero, baka naman po, ayun. Pero,
Nahanapin pa.
ako kasi very, ako hindi, walang masamang tinapay sa akin. Unless,
What does that mean?
parang I'm always giving, I always have, parang, ano ba yun?
Mo lang masamang tinapay.
Parang feeling ko laging mabait ang tao. Laging
You
mabait
assume
ang tao.
the
best in them.
people.
Yes, I always assume the best in them. Pero, kapag you cross my boundaries, kiss ka na talaga sa akin.
Forever.
Kaya ako, sobrang, I really value my time na if I give you my time, it means you're that important to me.
Mm-hmm. That's
Very,
so...
very picky ako with friends.
And I think you have to be. You have to be because if you're accepting everyone, that's kind of just settling for whoever is available.
Sino na lang. Diba?
And remember that you have innate value. You have something to offer. You have your worth. And if people don't recognize that enough to respect it, enough to respect your time, your boundaries, your values, then that just means na they're not the kind of people who deserve to be in your life. Yun yung lagi ko nakukuhang tanong from listeners. Like, Miss Ayin, how can I cut toxic friendships out of my life? Ganyan. Sabi ko, guys, if you feel disrespected, walk away. You will find your people. Like, go towards the direction where you're respected. Like, you will find like-minded people. And I'm not saying like I'm perfect or I've treated everyone in the best way possible. Like, we find our own people, and when you do, take care of them.
Yes. Cherish them.
Yeah,
Give them your energy.
It's really hard. I think the hardest for me was in high school. You're kind of just like with people who are available to you. Kasi magkakasama
Wala kang
kayo every
choice.
day. Wala kayong choice. So, yun na yung friends mo, parang by default. Or sila na yung crowd mo, not necessarily friends. And then nahirapan ako because when I was in college, I realized na some people pala aren't necessarily your friends. Na you'd realize na, they talk about you behind your back. They talk, parang nilala nila yung dream mo. You know how people are like, vlogger yun. Ganon.
Content creator yun.
Yun yung ayoko. I hate it because ambisyosa ako eh. Like, I will really go for my biggest dreams. So, ayoko talaga yung kind of people who will tell me, feelingera yan.
Talaga. Feelingera
talaga ako. Bakit? And if that's
Tignan
not your
mo,
thing,
watch us.
yeah, yun. I realized that I don't like love people. People who say love.
People.
Yeah.
We want you people.
Yeah. Kailangan yeah. Hindi
Love.
Huge difference, by the way. So yeah, that's how I don't settle. What I love about my friends, and I really know that I'm not settling for less, is that they don't have time to judge what I do or my choices. They only support me, or if they do have feedback, it's always coming from a place of love.
Yep.
And it's because they're so busy doing their own thing. They're also achieving things. They're also pursuing their dreams. And that's so inspiring. As in, whenever I talk to my friends, I feel so energized na parang things feel so possible because I did not settle for less dun sa quality ng friendships that I have. As in, like, with our friends, it's like, they can conquer the universe.
Totoo.
That kind of thing, diba? It's nice.
I also like the energy of friends na you can really be honest. Na tipong, ako kasi very low energy kong tao. Kapag kunwari ang lakad natin ay 10 p.m. onwards, wag mo na akong asahan. So, parang nagigets na nila, hindi ko kailangang magdahilan na, ay kasi ganito, ganyan. I can freely say na, can I just have my time off? Kasi I have a crazy week today, wala akong energy. Yung ganong kind of friendship na hindi
Yeah.
magtatampo, na parang, oh, KJ naman yan na Rizza. Parang, kung kaibigan natin sila, bakit natin kailangang magsinungaling pa na, sorry sis, wala akong energy today, ganon. I love that kind of friendship na you can really be honest as possible.
Yeah, you can just be yourself. Ooh, I have one last tip about relationships before we move on to our last topic, which is the self. If you guys are struggling with situationships, kung hindi
Ay,
kayo
ayan.
makaalis sa talking stage. So this is what you say if you want to get out of the talking stage or your situationship. Gusto mo na mag-move on to the next level, tapos hindi mo matansya kung magko-commit ba to or hindi. What you say is, I'm looking for a serious relationship. I'm looking for commitment. If you don't see yourself going in the same direction, you don't have to ask me out again.
Don't waste my time. Yo.
Yeah. Alam mo, sinabi ko yun sa jowa ko. Yeah, sinabi ko siya na parang like, look, this is what, I'm looking for something serious. If you're not the same, you don't have to text me again. He texted me again, and now we're committed. Diba?
Assertiveness.
Yeah.
Not settling for less.
There's also another time, I told a guy who ghosted me for 3 days and then sinabi na lobat lang daw siya.
Huh?
Sinabi
Okay ka
niya yun
lang.
sa akin. Sabi ko sa kanya, tinext ko siya, sabi ko, has anybody told you that you communicate like a fuckboy? Nung sinabi ko yun sa kanya, boom, umalis na ako. Walked away.
Bye.
Pagka nakakita ka ng red flag,
Mic drop.
huwag ka na magpretend na hindi siya red flag. Just
True.
walk away. Just have the assertiveness and the confidence to walk away. Because honestly, the faster you walk away from someone who does not respect you, the faster you walk towards someone who will respect you.
You don't chase, you attract.
Amen. Moving on to the self. How do we not settle for less sa sarili natin?
Ay, nako, ito. I feel like isa to sa mga pinakamahirap. Kasi we're always so self-deprecating. Alam mo yun,
And critical.
Lagi natin may mga self-sabotage na ganon. But I feel like, ewan ko, ito talaga yung pinaka-challenging. But what I do, alam siguro to ng mga OG madams, is that I have a scorecard for myself.
Oh, ginagawa pa rin
Diba?
yun.
I'm such a nerd. Ayun, meron akong monthly scorecard sa sarili ko. So, nakalista. So, kunwari, fitness, health, relationships, business, ganyan, na. Lahat ng mga gusto kong sukatin. Tapos, meron ako first part of the month, meron akong rating sa sarili ko from 1 to 10. 1 to 10, 1 to 10, yoga 1 to 10, fitness 1 to 10, health 1 to 10. Tapos, by the end of that month, kunwari end na ng Feb or ng March, isuscore ko ulit yung sarili ko. How do I feel like, anong score ko sa sarili ko that time? Kunwari, with yoga, 10 ako, 1 to 10, 10 being the highest kasi almost every day ako nag-yoga. Tapos may notes din ako doon na sinasabi ko sa sarili ko na 10 tayo today, good job, kasi ganyan. Kasi for me, kapag may number sa utak ko, it makes sense to me. Tsaka doon ko masusukat, doon ako mas magiging self-aware na, okay, this is what I need to improve on the next month. Ganun siya. May KPIs ako.
Yeah.
Personal KPIs.
I tried that as well and it really worked well for me. Especially during the time na medyo hindi ko ma-quantify. Hindi ko talaga makita. Parang, okay, satisfied ba ako sa sarili ko? Okay ba ako sa sarili ko? Or can I do more? Kasi minsan hindi mo alam, am I pushing myself too hard or too little? Or am I not doing enough? And it's hard to know the answer to that unless you write it down, you really evaluate. But then now, I feel like medyo mas natural na to me yung self-awareness and self-evaluation. So I ask myself one question, and it's, am I doing my best given what I have and what I feel? Because sometimes I can't always show up as my best self.
Totoo
Sometimes I can show up as my mediocre self.
May
And
bare
sometimes,
minimum
yeah,
self.
bare minimum. Minsan bare minimum. And sometimes bare minimum is fine too. Especially if yun na talaga yung kaya ko. And if yun na yung kaya for the day, that's fine. But if alam ko na meron pa akong ibubuga, if meron pa akong kaya gawin, that's when I tell myself, okay, girl, more. You have to do more. You can do this better. This can be so much better. And when I admit myself to that, na kaya ko pa, then that's when I push myself. And that's when I know that I'm able to achieve more. Pagka talagang I show up and improve kasi kaya ko. And not because pinapahirapan ko yung sarili ko.
Correct.
So yon, how do you guys settle for less and how do you not settle for less? We'd love to hear your thoughts about this discussion. If you guys have anything you want to share with us, the comments are open for YouTube. If you are on Instagram or Twitter or anywhere on the internet, our socials are at Camp Confidence Radio. You can also tag us,
At
Rizza
Rizza
Lana,
Lana.
and at Ayn Bernos. And if you guys are on Spotify, make sure to subscribe and follow us for more. And don't forget to give us a 5-star rating. Thank you guys so much for listening, and we hope to see you on the next one. Bye!
Yay!